What's good? What's good? What's good? It's been a while. It's been a slow news week, so I haven't really been on, but we got a little something today, and it's kind of sad today. I ain't gonna lie, because this one, he was a little bit promising when he got into the league like 10 years ago. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. This is Ben McLemore. Ben McLemore, former NBA player. Let's go ahead and click the video and see what's up.
For the trial of a former Blazer accused of rape. Ben McLemore was found guilty on 3 counts.
If I'm not mistaken, Ben McLemore, I think he was a Thunder. Maybe not. Maybe that was Jeremy Lamb. But anyway, all right, let's go.
For the trial of a former Blazer accused of rape. Ben McLemore was found guilty on 3 counts, including rape. He was found not guilty on 1 count of second-degree sexual abuse. He was accused in an incident at an LO home dating back to October of 2021. He played on Wednesday. Some chaos.
That was a short video. I'm trying to get the longer one. I saw a longer joint.
Just 4 sessions in with my diet.
If this was back in 2021, I hope he did like time served or something, because that's 4 years on just pending.
Charge.
Former Portland Trailblazer Ben McLemore showed little emotion after a Clackamas County jury found him guilty of rape following a 2.5-week trial. The jury convicted him on 3 counts: first-degree rape, first-degree sexual penetration, and second-degree sexual abuse.
I didn't know sexual penetration was a charge. I felt like all 3 of them are the same thing. Rape, penetration, and sexual abuse all sounds the same to me, but the fact that they're separate charges is a motherfucker.
Penetration and second-degree sexual abuse. Prosecutor Scott Healy.
You just don't do something like this to somebody and get away with it. I don't care who you are.
Prosecutors say McLemore raped a 21-year-old woman at a party in October of 2021. The assault happened at the Lake Oswego home of McLemore's then teammate Robert Covington. During trial, the woman testified she was incapacitated after a night of heavy drinking and unable to consent. McLemore admitted he'd been drinking as well, but testified the sex was consensual.
She didn't show no signs of distress or discomfort, and didn't, give me no signs at all.
The prosecutor described the victim as brave for coming forward, reporting the crime, and then following the long road to justice.
Crime victims don't often report these cases, even when celebrities not involved. So she was very brave to do that. She followed through. She stuck with this. And, I think she's in a much better place now, and she can start.
I want to look this up. I want to look Shorty up if we can. From what I had seen, she was she wouldn't even, you wonder as somebody who's an NBA player, he can choose better women, better looking women, but she looked like the rest of them, man. Well, not really, she looked worse. Ben McLemore, victim. My homie said he'd been making bad decisions his whole life. I don't see no picture of Shorty though. 21, damn. She was 21 years old. He either was 32 or is 32. I'm looking for her name. Let's keep watching the video.
The emotional.
Matter of fact, let's run it back.
Guilty of the charge.
Former Portland Trailblazer Ben McLemore showed little emotion after a Clackamas County jury found him guilty of rape following a 2.5-week trial. The jury convicted him on 3 counts: first-degree rape, first-degree sexual penetration, and second-degree sexual abuse. Prosecutor Scott Healy.
You just don't do something like this to somebody and get away with it. I don't care who you are.
Prosecutors say McLemore raped a 21-year-old woman at a party in October of 2021. The assault happened at the Lake Oswego home of McLemore's then teammate Robert Covington. During trial, the woman testified she was incapacitated after a night of heavy drinking and unable to consent. McLemore admitted he'd been drinking as well, but testified the sex was consensual.
She didn't show no signs of distress or discomfort, and didn't, give me no signs at all.
The prosecutor described the victim as brave for coming forward, reporting the crime, and then following the long road to justice.
Crime victims don't often report these cases, even when celebrities not involved. So she was very brave to do that. She followed through. She stuck with this. And, I think she's in a much better place now, and she can start the emotional healing process.
I ain't gonna lie, to that dude face, he don't look innocent either, but all right, never mind.
Because she is very emotionally traumatized by what happened to her.
Following the verdict, sheriff deputies took McLemore into custody. The former Trailblazer, who once wore number 23 on the court, now has a new number. Ben McLemore is inmate 273-47953 in the Clackamas County Jail.
I don't be liking them slogans they be trying to come up with. Now has a new number. I wonder if they're going to do anything to Robert Covington. The victim had been drinking hammer. Let's read the whole thing. The Clackamas County jury found Ben McLemore guilty Thursday of raping and sexually assaulting 21-year-old woman in 2021. Ben McLemore, 32, convicted in Clackamas County Circuit Court of rape and first-degree murder, unlawful sexual penetration in the first degree, and sexual abuse in second degree. He will be sentenced on July 9th at 9:30 in the morning. That's in 3 days. We recognize there are those who fear individuals with celebrity status. Ben McLemore is not really a celebrity or a position of prominence can avoid prosecution. Not in Clackamas County. This case demonstrates my office prosecutes criminal acts regardless of the offender's community status, said by District Attorney John Wentworth. It happened at a party, the home of Robert Covington, former Trailblazer, where they were teammates at the time. The victim had been drinking and was, quote-unquote, hammered, unconscious, drunk. You can't mess with nobody who's drunk, really, but definitely not hammered, unconscious. I think they had a picture of her bent over a toilet, too, that night. Let's see. It's the most alcohol the woman had ever had to drink in her life and the most intoxicated she's ever been. The victim vomited earlier in the evening, and witnesses said that she had difficulty walking, slurred speech, and could barely lift her head. She passed out in a large living room around 2 a.m. Sometime later, McLemore came in and slept on the same couch. Around 6 a.m., the victim regained partial consciousness when McLemore sexually penetrated her with his fingers and then began having sexual intercourse with her. The victim was fading in and out of consciousness, frightened and traumatized. Ben McLemore, you fucked up. Later that day, she sought a specialized medical examination for victims of sexual assault. The defendant needs to be held accountable for what he did. You can't do that to somebody, let alone somebody that you don't know either. You don't do that to people. You don't get away with it. I don't care who you are. Defense attorneys for McLemore disputed the victim's account for events. They claim she initiated sexual contact and consented to it. His attorneys asserted that although the victim and McLemore were both intoxicated at the time of the encounter, the victim was sober enough to consent. Okay, this is just all bad. So he has to serve 8 years messing with a snow bunny. That's what Anton Daniels said. This is the video I saw, actually,
where he was accused of raping a woman after a night of drinking. McLemore says the evening began with bowling before team members met at Robert Covington's Lake Oswego home for cards and drinking.
But I was just, just being there and just enjoying the night and just, having that time with my teammates.
They probably kind of planned on doing, having sex anyway, but she probably just got too damn drunk and then shit went bad fast.
McLemore testified he encountered the alleged victim in the bathroom after some of her friends.
Look at this picture, bro. Shorty don't even look cute, dog. What are you on? Ugh. And who took a picture, bro? This is bad.
Asked him to help move her to the couch because she was intoxicated.
All these pics look bad.
McLemore said he eventually fell asleep on that same couch and then woke up a few hours later with that woman's hands down his pants.
Fondling me and basically rousing me. So that's what pretty much woke me up. Again, I'm in deep sleep.
That's when McLemore says he began having sex with the woman, an encounter he describes as consensual.
She didn't show no signs of distress or discomfort.
This is why I be by myself, bro. This is exactly why I be by myself. I only like hanging with people.
It didn't, give me no signs at all or alertness of that.
McLemore says that he and the alleged victim never spoke with each other before, during, or after the encounter.
There's a part in this video where he really fucked up at. Y'all gonna see.
He left Covington's house immediately after they had sex.
He left her house immediately. All right, let's keep going.
During cross-examination, the prosecution argued the alleged victim never consented to sex with McLemore.
He did say on direct, it was one of the most terrible things I've ever done in my life.
Right.
That's where he fucked up.
Having sex with an unconscious woman would be one of the most terrible things, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't say unconscious, but that moment was me leaving without saying anything was definitely a terrible one.
The trial will continue to.
When he said that was one of the most terrible decisions he ever made in his life, or it was over with. It's like an admission of guilt. It's over. It's over.
Tomorrow here in class.
So it sounds like they all went to a party and they was getting drunk and drinking and having a good time. The chick wanted the D.
And I agree. I think she wanted it too, but I don't know what Anton's finna say, but when you get too, when somebody gets too, when a woman gets too drunk, all bets off then. All bets are off.
And so he obliged her, and now they're trying to change the story into being a lack of consent instead of giving responsibility to the fact that she probably felt some type of way about not getting no money, not getting his number. He just left after it was over. And so
I won't go that far with the money and stuff. I don't know their relationship.
Because he didn't make her feel good about the situation, now they're trying to change it into grape. Here's the reality, man. I used to think that, and this is the way that we was taught when we was growing up in the 80s, raised in the 90s, all that. I used to think that grape was somebody kicking and screaming or all of this other type of stuff, and then you take advantage of them by forcing them down and all of this type of stuff.
That's what I thought too.
I didn't know that it was people partying, having a good time, getting into a sexual relationship, and then regretting it the day after.
Yeah. It's the line is gray these days, man. The line is gray. The line is gray. But I mean, if she was that drunk at the time, I don't know how drunk he was. That's just a hell of a situation, bro. If his story is true, where they both were drunk as hell, they both fell asleep on the same couch, she was touching him, and they did their thing, then it's not. I don't think it's rape, but what can you say, man? What can you say? It's a sad situation, bro. It's a sad situation. Now, if he did just take it and she was drunk, that's rape. But if his story was real, then it's very unfortunate. It's very, very, very unfortunate. But you gotta stop. If you a black man, you gotta stop fucking with these white girls, bro. You got to, bro. You got to. This girl Michaela's snapping. Let's read it. The Clackamas County jury convicted Ben McLemore was entirely white. Oh, the jury was entirely white. Well, you're in Oregon. I saw Oregon on there. I don't know if there's black people in Oregon. The jury that convicted Ben McLemore was entirely white and overwhelmingly conservative. Facts that can't be separated from the outcome. Racial bias has long shaped how black men are perceived in the justice system, and this case was no exemption. I was in that courtroom every day, and I sat through every moment and watched this case unfold. I know the full scope of it, and I can say with my whole heart Ben McLemore is innocent. So before anyone comes at me with assumptions of judgment, No, I speak from firsthand experience. This is sad, man. This is sad. I don't know whose side I'm on because we just wasn't there. I don't know who's telling the truth and who's not, but I know that if she was drunk and he was drunk too, and they planned on having sex beforehand, and if she initiated contact while they was laying together, I think he should be let out of jail, bruh. I think if he took it and she was drunk as hell, he should be in jail. But I think maybe if he didn't just up and leave, it would have been a little bit better. But once again, it's a white girl and you in Oregon, bro. So damn. Well, that's all I got, man. I hate this for another black man, bro. We got to do better. One decision can ruin everything, man. So anyway, I appreciate y'all for watching, for listening, and everything like that. Check out more on the story your own time. Once again, it's Dee Brown, LTD, and I hope you have a great day.